Greetings and welcome to the Thirsty Mage, the podcast shaking hands and providing congratulations after a hard-fought battle. Welcome to the podcast. I'm David Lloyd. In this episode, we've patched up our wounds, we've mended our fences, and we've all respectfully come to an understanding on what our final top 25 games of the past 25 years should look like. With the list now out of the way, we'll discuss our final thoughts, discuss some titles that just missed the cut, and we're going to compare our list to some of the popular websites and podcasts out there to see how they compare. For the third straight week, which this is might be a first in our podcast history, we've got everyone here together with us tonight. Starting with the man who finally revealed why he never finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's Jordan Rudick.
Yeah, I'm just here to tear down those mended fences, and so we can put them back up again. But yeah, no, good to have everybody here again. It was a really I was listening back to the Vert 2 episodes where we put together the 25, and it was really fun, actually. So I'm looking forward to this, seeing how our list shakes out. I think the comparison with some of the other lists you've pulled, David, is really interesting and kind of shines a light on some of those games that we were not able to sneak onto our list, and others we didn't really even consider. So it'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to going over a few of these titles. Also joining us, my partner in tormenting Jordan about said Rebirth game, it's Casey Gibson.
I tried to get it to switch the time without telling Jordan when we'd be recording, but David fight on it. So
we threw around the idea of having like some kind of game where we're able to like bounce some of the titles up or down the list, but Casey and I had like we would have railroaded that all the way to a first overall win for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So we had to shelve.
I already had the whiteboard out in which, you know, with like strings connected to other games and to see what would cause the most damage.
Yeah. And finally, she's still working on the gift basket she received from Level 5 for championing their creation onto our list. It's Paige Chamberlain.
Man, I wish I was popular enough to get some of the, those kits they send to influencers and press outlets. Like the Ace Attorney Investigations people got a gavel with their like name on it, and it was like a numbered limited edition. For Infinity Nikki, they had like a literal picnic blanket and like basket and stuff, like actual stuff you can use. And it's not stuff they sell. It's just for people that are cool and popular enough.
I bet you could find it on eBay for way overpriced now.
Some of those things you can, but I don't know about.
Honestly, this is a good start. Getting Yokai Watch 2 on our top 25 list is that's step number one in the path to getting Yokai Watch 4 merch sent to you directly.
We didn't even get the game here. What are you talking about?
5. I was trying to say like one that hasn't come out yet. 5, 6. I don't know. I don't know how many there are. But
we didn't get Yokai Watch 4 in English. They just like screw it.
I feel like our efforts just to go unrewarded because I'm pretty sure our podcast single-handedly pushed those DQ3 numbers up over the expectations mark, and I've yet to get my thank you email from Square Enix. So.
Well, first of all, you're going to have to make individual graphics for each game and do a countdown of our top 25 on all the social media apps so that we can have angry people come to our podcast and leave comments on Spotify. That's how we get popular.
Stoke
and get
the
our free
flames
stuff.
of hate.
Yes.
You mean more angry people leave comments?
Yes.
Yeah. Angrier people.
Well,
you mean David? Hold on. You mean the 8 episodes on Rebirth that we recorded didn't move the needle enough on that game, but our 1 or 2 Dragon Quest 3 episodes did our Discord endeavors didn't.
I don't know. All those people. Maybe what happened is that all those people demanded the Rebirth be released on PC, and now they've already outsold the PS5 version on Steam. So it was a delayed reaction on the part of the publics. We generated enough buzz to force Square Enix to release it on another console. That's
everyone's
the story
just
I'm going to go with.
Against Sony exclusivity at this point. State of play be damned. It's we just want everything everywhere. Come on.
Yeah. So I guess what I'll do is we'll kick off the episode by counting the lists down. So what we did is off recording or however you want to call it, we each did the 4 of us each ranked the games that we had come to an agreement on in the previous episode. And based on those rankings, we then averaged it out to figure out what the official or final actual ranking would be for our list. So starting from the bottom, number 25, it's Yokai Watch 2. Then it's Disco Elysium. Fire Emblem Shadow of Valentia Echoes. Got to say the whole title.
Trademark.
World of Warcraft. Atelier Ryza 2. Pokemon Gold / Silver. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. SMT5 Vengeance. Triangle Strategy. Dragon Quest 8.
We're at number
Bloodborne.
15 now for Bloodborne, just to
Yep,
people
we're up to
losing
15.
track.
Yeah, you got to stop for the top 10,
the
I
fives?
think, David. And we'll, yeah.
Eve's 7, sorry. No, Eve's 8.
Nope.
I'm looking at the little one. Looking at the
Don't
little
you go to
title.
the big
I know.
document.
I should have. Trails in the Sky at 13. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Skyrim. And did somebody want? How about someone else take over for the final?
We need a
wants to do the
drum
next
roll
one?
here, right? Should we
We're at the-
kind of
This is
should
the
we
top
stop
10
and
now.
talk about the bottom 15 first, maybe, and leave the top 10 for a minute?
Sure. So I will start the conversation into saying it's a travesty and an absolute mockery and shame that Trails in the Sky is not in the top 10. A shame on you all. And
I'll allow the
I'm
shame.
pretty sure
I'll allow
I'm
the
pretty
shame.
sure I personally bought all three of you your copy of Trails in the Sky.
I have it. I was looking at that. I was.
I don't know. Is there a way to check that?
I was like, maybe I'll play that one day.
I have the receipt in my
Really?
inbox for all three copies.
It's like I demand reviews from each of you.
Disgusted and
Might have been the
upset.
right place, honestly. I think 13 sounds about right. I'm just looking at the games above
Well-
it, and I'm kind of like, I get it. Like, I don't know that there's probably only 2 games below it that I'm like, oh, that could maybe be ahead of it. I think Bloodborne could be ahead of it. I think Dragon Quest 8 could be ahead of it even.
Yeah,
or
Dragon Quest 8's pretty
Dragon
low.
Quest, but yeah. But yeah, I don't hate Trails as much as I like that game. I don't hate it at 13 on our list.
I mean, it's gonna get a remake. That's why we didn't play it. We all knew that was gonna happen one day.
The remake will be top
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
no one
we'll
likes
have to wait
turn-based
another
games
25
anymore.
years to do the 25 to 2050 rankings. But yeah, I feel like everything seems like a pretty good spot. Like nothing egregious. I guess like for me, I didn't really play a lot of Pokemon Gold and Silver. Because I do love a good Pokemon game, but yeah.
Disco Elysium, I think, took a hit because I'm the only one who played it.
Yeah, probably. There was definitely like a couple games at the end where I was like, I hadn't played them, and it was just like, well, I'm just sort of ranking these on like name recognition. Like some of them I could like, obviously, like I know Like a Dragon, is really popular right now, and people love that game. So, but I have yet to play a Yakuza game yet.
There's only one of the lists we're going to talk about for comparison that doesn't mention Disco Elysium. Otherwise, it is ranked quite highly in the 2 out of the 3 lists. So, yeah, it probably should be higher. I just didn't have the when I got into it for the first time. I just didn't have the patience for it. And CRPGs, like I just have to be in the right mood for it. But I think some of the things it's doing with storytelling are very, very cool.
I'm actually surprised it wasn't on the 4th list that we'll talk about later. I was sure that it was rated higher. Well, while we discuss, while we start number 10, I'm going to Google that to see if I like pooch the Metacritic. I don't know what hell, because I don't know. It might have been one of those games that didn't review well at the time, though. Maybe.
Yeah, it
is a weird one.
It's possible. Like I remember, like just listening to podcasts talk about it, like just enamored with it. But maybe like actual review scores per se, or the wider swath of review scores maybe didn't. I don't know.
Reviewed high, but not high enough to make the top 25 for that final list. So that's
Why don't we do the next 5? I'll read them off. We'll stop there, and then we'll chat about that arrangement, and then we'll do the final ones.
Boom.
So 10 is Xenoblade Chronicles. Lamentably not. There's no X at the end of that for some reason.
As
I don't
it
know.
ought to be.
That should be a typo, I think. Mass Effect
Should have been a
2
2
is number 9. The Witcher 3 is number 3. Number 3, 8. Octopath Traveler 2 should be number 8, but is at 7. And Dark Souls rounds out the top 6 at number 6. Rounds at the top.
You know what's funny about this? Octopath Traveler 2 and The Witcher actually had equal scores, but because I liked Octopath Traveler, I put it higher.
No,
and now that you said the 7
No,
and 8
you-
thing,
no, you
I feel
have-
so bad because I'm like,
no,
oh
you have
man,
to
I
do
need to flip those.
what you
Ruined
do
it.
in Mario Kart, where 2 people are 7th and there's nobody in 8th place, and then it goes to 9.
Oh yeah.
There you go, I
Okay.
fixed it.
Fixed it. Any
so funny.
Paige, any thoughts about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 there? Is anything that jumps
6,
out as you
7,
like, oh, this
7,
shouldn't be
and
right?
9. Yeah, maybe Witcher should be above it. You know, maybe
Yeah.
some of the Western RPG should be a little bit higher.
Agree.
But otherwise, that's pretty fine, I think.
Yeah, I never really played The Witcher, but like based on just the reputation alone,
Yeah.
should probably
It's so
hop
good.
over Octopath. But just because the first one was so bad that it taints the second one just a little bit, you know?
Yeah, hence should be pushing it down, but David didn't. I told you he's on
That's
Team
funny.
Octopath 1 now.
He
switched
Dark
allegiances.
Souls, that's a great game, and
Yeah.
it's funny. I've played it so recently, but it instantly jumped so high up onto my top list there.
I think it was number 1 on mine. I think.
Yes, it was, and
Yeah.
I think I had it at 4.
Yeah.
Or something in that range.
No, you had a 5. You had
5.
So you
know what it was?
it
started at 3, and it worked its way down a little bit.
I don't like that trajectory.
Yeah,
moving up.
You know what it was? I stopped to think about like Persona 4 Golden and like how I felt after I finished that game, and I was like, that
Yeah.
needs to go higher.
No, that's fair.
And same with Xenoblade. Honestly, Xenoblade and Dark Souls could maybe be switched, but I like it where it's at 6 on the list. I think represented well.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Who's going to do the next 5 then? Or David, you want to what would you swap there if you had an option?
In the 6 to 10 range?
Yeah, 6 to 10. What do you make of that?
I'm
that
moving
order?
up Octopath.
No, I don't know. All those games are kind of in that kind of tier for me. Like
The tier that's worse than Trails in the Sky and should be replaced by
yeah.
Trails
Like I
in the
mean,
Sky.
Xenoblade. If it were up to me, I'd drop Xenoblade off there and bring up Trails in the Sky. But other
Shocker.
than that,
We weren't talking about down there.
I can't. I take Xenoblade right off the list.
Oh, wow.
If it was me.
This is a
Okay.
travesty.
Well, that's because it's on a Nintendo
Well,
console.
guess what we're
so-
putting on the next game club?
Yeah,
You have to play the 3DS version.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
new
I tried
3DS
that and it
version.
crashed.
That was the
That's
first
true.
that I finished it there. That was the first time I played it through. Actually,
Oh, you sorry son of a gun.
that's why I
It
like
is-
X better.
It is incredible they got it to work on the DS. Though.
It's incredible.
It really
There's-
is a cool.
There's like
cool
2 or
feat.
3 like new 3DS exclusive
Yeah, it
games,
was-
and that's one of them.
That and Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what else was.
Dude,
There's
Fire
another like
Emblem
an
Warriors
indie game
was-
or a smaller game. I think
Whatever, like
Fun
Nintendo
game,
3DS exclusive game. 15. Oh, okay.
15. That's crazy.
Binding of Isaac Rebirth, Block Form, Brick Race, something in Japanese. Yeah, Fire Emblem Warriors. Yeah, a lot of eShop only. Oh, Minecraft. There we go.
Maybe that's the one I was thinking of.
New
I know there's
Nintendo
some-
3DS edition.
Hmm.
Pirate Plus was exclusive. Oh, okay. Runbow Pocket was as well. There's a couple
I
of
didn't
indie
know
games
that.
actually no. So, but the two that were
Runbow.
the 3 that were physical would be Fire Emblem Warriors, Minecraft, and Xenoblade.
I can't believe Runbow couldn't just run on a regular 3DS. That's crazy. But
I haven't thought about that
Yeah.
game in years.
It was
fun.
designed for the Wii U.
It was
I guess,
popping off
so
for a little bit
it was
there,
just-
yeah.
They couldn't get Shantae to wiggle quite as good on the regular 3DS, you know.
Need those what I hate the phrase jiggle physics, but if that's what the new
Well-
3DS is capable of, then I guess, you know.
No, I said
Uh,
wiggle because she's like the guest character. She's a little bit belly, she
That's
wiggles.
right.
She's a belly dancer. Well, no, she I don't know. She technically isn't a belly dancer, but she's obviously inspired by.
Yeah,
She does the moves.
just like one.
Yeah.
Okay, who's gonna do the top?
Top 5.
Top five.
In 5, we have Persona 4 Golden because we couldn't put things by what number they had because there's like 2 3s and 2 5s and
There weren't enough 5s or 7s.
yeah. Number 4, we have Baldur's Gate 3. Number 3, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There we go. Here's a matching number 1. Number 2, we have Diablo 2. And our top RPG that has come out in the last 25 years is Persona 5 Royal. Insert cheering
There it
noises.
Made it.
You just got to shift Persona 5 down a little, switch it with
your coach too,
Rebirth,
I think, yeah.
then switch 5 and 4 again, and we could leave Baldur's Gate there at 4.
Baldur's Gate 3 is the one I like the least where it is. I wish it were further down. I wish I wish it were even maybe out of the top 10.
For me, just CRPGs, I don't know. When I play them, I feel like I'm always doing something wrong, and then I start like thinking too much about the choices, and then I don't play it anymore. I do have it on PS5. I should go back and give it another shake, but
sorry, I just remembered how years work. I think I was going to be like, why did we do this at the start of this year? But I guess 2000 is year 0, so it is.
2000 is year 1.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it goes up to that even when it'll be interesting to see what the top ones of the actual year are. I think we forgot to do our fantasy critic for the year. It's too late now.
Too much going on.
Yes.
Paige, what would you do with the top 5? Would you move anything around or take something out?
Rid of Persona 4 Golden.
Okay.
Like it's fine.
Yeah, you had that really low.
Yeah.
Not
it's
your cup of tea,
it's
I guess.
fine. I mean, Persona 5 has like the actual design dungeon, so really just.
I think I was talking to David about it. We need a Persona 4 Golden remake. I know it's already sort of enhanced version, but a remake with
someone's suggested name for that is Rerun because of the TV theme.
Boom, there it is, Rerun.
There you go.
But just like craft out each dungeon like a Persona 5.
Because that was like the massive highlight of Persona 5 when I was first playing it, especially going in the theming. Just like I said, we can have multiple of the game series on here if we wanted to. We weren't trying to make it like a total representative of, we could only have one of each. But in this case, this is the one series that actually got 2 entries, so that's interesting.
Yeah, it's the only one, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And Rebirth would go down. Sounds gross.
Yeah, Rebirth doesn't need to be in the top 5, I don't think. But.
Yeah, too bad Octopath couldn't get on there to be another same. But
I would like to just mention that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the only game on this list that got 2 first place votes.
Thus, it should be number 1 automatically. But
given that, I'm surprised Diablo 2 is second. I'm surprised. I like it. It's a happy surprise. Like I think that's fun to have it at number 2.
Well, it's because the 3 of you had all listed it very all in your top 10.
6,
How did
9,
you not?
I've got it at number 2. Jordan's got it number 9. Paige has got it number 6, and Loser Boy David's got it at 15.
Yeah,
Didn't have Trails in the name.
I don't know.
Trails Diablo 2.
Trails to Diablo 2.
The loot drop gameplay just, I don't know. Like I enjoyed, like, I think we played Diablo 3 together, and then
Have you played 2?
I played a little bit of 2, not much.
Because 3 is like they ramped it up to definitely be loot city. And don't get me wrong, you get a lot of loot in Diablo 2. It's just different. It's like I feel like ARPGs nowadays are just like everything's like super fast. And like Diablo 2, it's still fast, don't get me wrong, but it's not as fast.
It's not the same. No.
It's a different pace of game. Yeah, it's so good. Oh, jeez. Like if you liked 3, but you were like, there's too much loot, then like 2 might be right up your alley,
I certainly don't have a problem with Royal at 1. Actually, I think it's a reasonable game to have as your number 1 RPG. Like it's very meaty. There's a lot of content. I haven't played the Royal version, but just speaking from what other people tell me, and haven't played the base game. Characters are great. Like it's super stylish. Combat's really fun. Like it does so many things really, really well. And then to get it,
the sound, the gameplay.
yeah,
I think even the base game would have. The base game,
Yeah.
I think, would have ended up there anyway. It's just Royal is better.
Not with
than
only
the-
of course.
being able to use your gun once.
Yes, that's for me. I was about to say the only thing that I particularly appreciate about Royal is the being able to use your gun more. Like I'm not crazy about the extra content.
Well, the extra music was good.
But the
Like
balancing,
the extra songs
yes.
they added.
But the balancing, although they did get rid of the Flu Reaper trick, so maybe that's not so good. And they made one of the boss fights more difficult.
I was thinking if they were going to remake Persona 4, I think it would be closer to the Persona 3 remake, right? They wouldn't do bespoke dungeons. It would just be the same thing, but like visually enhanced with some gameplay tweaks. I can't imagine like a Final Fantasy 7 remake scale remake. It would be the same thing as Reload, right? Yeah, I mean that'd be insane.
That would be the dream. I mean, that would be, I don't know, because to me, like the Golden already sort of like, I don't know. I mean, obviously they could enhance it further, but like at that point, it's like just give a straight port. You know what I mean? Just go big or go home.
But can't you say the same thing about 3, right? Because you had multiple versions of 3, right? You had Fez, you had PSP,
4 is so
P3P.
well. Like its reputation is far greater than 3's.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're doing Reload makes a ton of sense because you want people to play something that they maybe haven't seen before, whereas a lot of people have gone back and played 4 Golden, or maybe played it when they got re-released everywhere last year or the year before, right? Like that.
Well, more people played Portable, right? And it was there, and that was a much different experience, like because you're not running around the dungeon or whatever, right?
Yeah. There's no running around the world areas. It's just they're just like little dots on the map, right?
Yeah. I mean. Like I said, I think 4 is I ranked it higher, but mainly because it was the first game that like a first Persona game I ever played, and like especially in that like each day there's stuff you could do and you're going off the calendar. Like it was just such a different experience for me, and I really like resonated with the characters.
It's so good.
And then I went back and played 3, and I really liked that game. And I played 5, fell off, and then played Royal pretty recently. And 5 is without a doubt like it's just like one of the best games ever. Like it's so polished, like everything is so awesome. But I like the story and the characters. I think of 4 is what makes me love it more. That's why, like if they were ever to go back and do something crazy, like give us like designated awesome dungeons like 5, like then I think it'd be like a no-brainer.
I'd be so on board, but they would need like their main team, and that they're not going to take them off of like Persona 6 or Metaphor 2 or something. Those games would sell too well for them to do that. So you've got, instead you're going to go with your remake team, which I think they did Reload. It'd be lower budget, I think.
It would. That makes more sense. But
I feel like
financially, I think it makes more sense, right?
Persona 6 is doomed. Like, how do they follow up 4 and 5? Like, they're doomed.
Honestly, like they got to change up the formula.
Yeah, they could do something with like archetypes and do like a fantasy thing where it's like going around this fantasy world and exploring different places there.
Or space.
Something about archetypes would be great. I'd love to see something.
It's too bad they didn't have writers for that game. You know, if there was a story with that like made sense and a plot.
Hey, I sent in the Discord image I saw that actually makes the story all right. Really. If that's the
maybe there'll be a crossover with Legends of Heroes.
The real shame is it's not in the Metacritic top 10. Oh wait, it is. Metacritic top 10 RPGs of all time. So okay.
Yeah.
And
must be bad.
Meant to mean something. Yeah. Okay.
We'll see. We'll see when we get to that full list.
I'm assuming that fix for the story page was that you're supposed to play the game completely and dead ass drunk.
You mean you didn't?
No, it's the put message going over your head meme, and it's like the person looking at it saying, "Wow, racism is bad," and then over the head is, "To win as a third party candidate, you have to kill your competition."
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
I completely forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I know a game where they hired writers after they released the game.
Is that SMT5?
Oh
yeah.
Which one?
A little late.
Broken Roads. It was the Australian
launch updates with hired writers.
Don't worry, guys. Help's on the way.
Which is, I think the first time anyone's seen something like that, obviously like MMOs or things that, live service, like they have different writers and stuff like that changes, but like hiring new writers because people thought so poorly of your story.
Yeah, please don't even announce that. Just do it, and let us play the game afterwards. Let's not call attention to it.
Well, we've that's the list, and we thought we would take a look at a few other lists just to kind of compare, because when you're going through it, there's so many games out there and so many tastes that sometimes things get overlooked, or maybe we didn't play any games, so we wanted to see how closely we were on par with the rest of the folks out there. And I feel like we have a good assortment here, because we have one list from Axe of the Blood God. We have one from GameSpot. Now, what I will say is there should be an asterisk on the Blood God one, because technically this was in 2023, so there's going to be a few games not on this list. And also, this was a top RPGs of all time, not necessarily a 2000s one. And same with GameSpot.
Some games that I was not allowed to add to the list.
Yeah, no, you were banned from some of these games. And then, I also looked at the GameSpot one, which was from the past few months, but again, it was like a top RPGs of all time list. And then the final was, I went through Metacritic, and I basically just put in like, highest Metacritic scores, and then went through the list and just picked the highest ones from the 2000s. So the Metacritic one is probably like the most, I don't know, the one that probably represents the overall voice or opinion of journalists or whatever out there, I suppose, in its in the way that it's done. But I don't know if we necessarily should go through the list themselves, like they're online for people who want to see it, but I figure we would kind of pick and choose some of the things that stood out to us, because there are a few there's a few games on, there's definitely a couple games on all three lists that we didn't even really consider or discuss or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm seeing some and I'm like, oh yeah.
Like Stardew Valley would be a good one,
I don't know if I count that as if I count the farming sim.
Well, that counts as an RPG. Everything's an RPG.
Yeah.
I think Undertale is one of the ones that stood out for me. It was high on the Blood God. It was on GameSpot, and it was also in the top 25 for Metacritic. So technically on all three lists. Has everyone here played Undertale? I've done the
I played a little bit of it. It's not for me.
Weren't you? Wasn't there I demand you for
talking Nintendo? I didn't beat it. I played some of it. I don't know. It's just there's something about it that just like anytime I've tried to get into it, it's just not happened.
I think Perry might have played like 30 minutes. Casey, is that about right? Maybe an hour?
That was probably me. I think Perry might have.
Oh, it's you.
Perry beat it.
That
was not a great I demand you.
I'm definitely seeing some other Western RPGs that just didn't really occur to me, because I'm like beating them myself. Like we've got some other other BioWare series, because a lot of those were 2000s on.
David and I hate these games. We hate them with a passion.
That's why that's why this list is filled in with games I've played instead of like some more Western RPG representation. And then there's ones where it's also like I was thinking like, oh, we just had Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and some people like one of the places has Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 in their list.
Yeah, I can't believe I was surprised to see that on GameSpot's list. Like, because I thought Kingdom Come Deliverance was not overly enjoyed by most.
I think it was just because it launched in a terrible state, so it's probably like a Cyberpunk where they've
you get a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah, hard to.
The second was supposed to be good. I hear good things. I was tempted to pick it up.
Yes, I've been hearing lots of good things. Although I don't
it's
know
a sequel though.
With the very immersive sim elements. Yeah.
With it's like it takes out in like a week.
It takes place days after the first game.
Oh, that's so funny. I do think Undertale is one like I wish had gotten on our list. It was just hard. Like we were all choosing 5. Like it's hard to like or 5 to 10 or whatever, like whatever number it was. It's very restrictive, and so you can't like on my 25. If I did my own, I probably would put Undertale there. And if I'd it's also an easy one to think like, oh, it's not from the last 25 years because of the way that it looks, right? It's an older game.
And the talking about it
forever.
Well, that's like
Yeah.
some games we discussed. I was like, the first Paper Mario actually came out in the year 2000 because I don't have much of a reference for like when the game consoles actually came out. I just have like when we got it in the house, So
There is one of these lists that agrees with Paige's ranking of the original Paper Mario 2, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The Metacritic, right?
I'm surprised it's that high, actually. It's crazy. Metacritic got it 15 for the original Paper Mario, so it's pretty impressive.
Well, I'm curious what ratings they use because this would have been long before Metacritic, I'm assuming.
They if you actually go and like look up old games, you'll actually they'll have gotten it. I mean, some websites, they still haven't deleted everything because you can find IGN video reviews of like Wii games and stuff. Like that's when they started doing it. So some websites still have their old reviews up. So it's probably from a smaller pool, but
it does make sense at 15 because it's a couple spots ahead of Rebirth. So that part is accurate for sure.
One that jumps off I see on at least two of the lists was Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
I guess I've never really been a Fallout guy. I guess I've never really just Bethesda games in general.
We probably should have looked at other people's lists before we started. So that we'd be like, that game exists.
But I played some Fallout 4, but I know, 3 in New Vegas were sort of like the oh my god games.
It's not even Bethesda though, Casey. It's Obsidian.
It's Obsidian.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that they did
even have
New
any
Vegas.
Obsidian games in our list, do we?
It's my least favorite. New Vegas is my least favorite Fallout.
Well,
I trust you because I think you've played all of them pretty much, right? Even the OG ones.
I've played them all. Like the early ones were were CRPGs, and then they Fallout 3 was really probably would be, I don't know. There was
some really the best.
There was some fun things you could do. Like, I mean, nuking an entire town is hilarious. Like, I'm sorry, it's just hilarious. There was a few things that were just in that game that were pretty fun. But I mean, Fallout 4 was a blast. I love the base building mechanics. Like,
I liked 4 a lot too. I went back.
Why don't you play Fallout 76 if you like base building?
Yeah. I don't know. I can only play so many MMOs in my life, and I had played a little World of Warcraft with Casey, and I played Final Fantasy 14 with Casey too. So,
yep, yeah, we dabbled.
If Casey's not playing the MMO, I'm not playing
it. Yeah, we're definitely really lacking on a lot of Western RPGs.
we got our legions to the east.
Yeah, we don't have KOTOR or Vampire or.
Well,
I'm surprised everyone has Divinity.
KOTOR was in the 90s, so that wouldn't be there. Has anyone played Vampire? I've never
I've heard good things about Vampire.
KOTOR is 2003.
KOTOR is 2003?
It's an original Xbox game. It's not.
I thought it was before. I thought it was like in
I've seen
late
2000s.
What early thousands computer games look like.
Oh man.
Okay, redo the list. Start over from scratch.
Starting fresh.
Get KOTOR on there. Get Undertale
on there.
What?
How
about we pull off Yokai Watch and stick KOTOR on there, and we'll call it a day.
GameStop putting Arceus, Pokemon Arceus up there too.
I like it actually. I think that's bold. I like it a lot.
When we were picking Pokemon games, I was thinking of Arceus.
I was too.
I think I know Alex is he's a big Pokeboy. And Arceus, I think, is like his favorite. I just beat Scarlet's DLC. It took me 51 and a half hours.
Did you play Arceus yourself, Casey?
I've played not enough to say I've played it.
Yeah, fair. You should go back. It's really great. I think it holds up well too.
I'm deciding between Arceus and Sword and Shield. I plan on playing both, but yeah, I've heard Arceus is like really, really fun.
I think you'll have a tough time with Sword and Shield after playing Scarlet and Violet. I think you'll feel restricted by it. I would go to another open world-ish kind of game, and Legends Arceus is that.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
I feel like keep it in mind. Nowadays you played it usually means beat it, whereas like you would just played. You used to just mean that you've played at least some of it. Like when I was a kid, people would say they clocked it to mean they beat the game.
I've never heard clocked before. Beat.
I know some people use it to refer to like actually fully completing the game, but when I was like kids, we were just saying like it's when we beat it.
It's always been beat it for me. Yeah.
I've never heard clocked. It's played it or beat it.
I've heard completed, and that would be like 100%. Like
everything. If you went great. Yeah.
or when you get the platinum.
Ooh.
Nice.
I've never gotten actually, I guess I got one, I think, on Resogun because it was easy. But I remember Black Flag, Assassin's Creed. I was like, I'm doing it all. And I got every single trophy. And then there was a couple online ones that were just so asinine. And I was like, that's it. I'm hanging it up.
I'm out. Yep.
You should have done Assassin's Creed 2. I platinum that one.
Yeah. It's funny. I've played one Assassin's Creed and it was amazing. And then that's it.
I mean, one's enough.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Especially the new
like,
ones. Once you've played Odyssey or Valhalla or any of them, any of the new ones now, they're all the same. I don't know if they're going back to stealth with some of the new one coming this year, Mirage or something, or
Well, that
I can't
already
remember what it's
came out.
called.
Yeah, that's already out.
What's the other one? There's one.
Is it
another
really?
one coming this year? Like it's in Japan,
Shadows,
maybe.
I think. Yeah.
I think Elden Ring is the big one that sticks out for me on the 3 lists that I think we might have briefly discussed Elden Ring, but you guys were dead set on Dark Souls.
Yeah, I need to.
I want to get Bloodborne in instead.
Yeah, I guess we had 2 from softwares.
Couldn't have 3, much as we wanted to.
And honestly,
kind of 2 from a series almost, right? Like, given how similar those games are, that's almost 2 from the same series. Like Personas.
And with Demon Souls on the Metacritic top, honestly, Demon Souls is so good too. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I got no problem with that. Yeah,
like I'd throw that in my top 25. Like that game isn't it's not as hard as the other ones, but man, like the remake is just like it's like hard not to like keep your jaw from hitting the floor, you know?
Yep.
I can't believe Chrono Cross is number 8. That's such a crock.
It reviewed so well.
Cross.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I just sold my Chrono Trigger DS.
Come on.
Yeah.
David bought it. David finally bought it.
Yeah.
I played Chrono Trigger. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying I thought you might were collecting your RPGs from your used video game store, aka Casey.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have been good except for the bajillion dollars to ship it to Canada.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, can I post stuff yet? I still have things sitting in my car.
Send it to Australia first, then over here.
Crazy.
What else we got here?
GameSpot putting Warcraft way up there. Number 9er.
Yeah, that's high.
Oh, Divinity, Original Sin 2.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Because I was trying to rank like with when I was ranking WoW.
No, not every list, but the 2 places had Divinity listed. I hadn't played enough to. Yeah, I guess when you're thinking about, I guess the quality of it is good enough. You know, like we sometimes didn't have same stuff in the same series on the list. But it's whether or not the quality is good enough to still be above other games, rather than because we weren't doing it. We weren't having like, we can only have one tactical RPG or whatever. But we did sort of think of, we did sort of compare some in regards to putting them up there. So it is interesting that people think Divinity Original Sin 2 is good enough. That I know it's a bit different from Baldur's Gate 3, but it's like the game that they made before it. That it's still high enough in these lists to be above some other games.
It's almost got the highest average across the lists, right? Because Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't show up on Blood God. Is that because it's too late, maybe?
Was it even? Yeah,
it's too late, right? That's why.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 came out after that list.
Yeah.
I think they would. Well, when you consider that they've got Baldur's Gate 2 and Planescape Torment on there, I'm sure it would be up higher.
Yeah, makes sense. Probably would have been top 10 or top 15 at least. So that's almost the highest average then of all the games was Baldur's Gate 3, right?
Are you playing? You're playing Divinity now, aren't you?
Yeah, we just started. Oh, hilariously, we started last Wednesday. We're playing tonight after this podcast. We're restarting our playthrough because
did you fight the crab?
I don't know. Maybe I did, or maybe one of my buddies did. But we got these gloves as like a quest item, and then my friend gave it to like I guess another character we hired to be part of our party. And so they were holding them in their inventory, and then he dismissed that party member, and they walked away, and we don't know where they are. So we restarted because we were just messing around. We don't know where they went. Like I can't find them anywhere. So I don't know. I'm sure they're around. But
yeah, I think they go back to where because each character has a designated spot that they stand.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to go back to that location.
It might be the case. I think we also just want to re-roll. Like two of my buddies, they both like turned out to be like the same lizard person type character.
Oh,
So I always get them confused, and they look the same, and they're like,
reptilians.
yeah, one's like green and one's orange, and it's the same race basically. And so I think we
Sometimes
just
with a
want to
game like
reroll.
that, it is good to like dip your toes in for an hour. So
Yeah,
realize like
yeah.
the little things you should have done, and then like, all right, now we're good. Got
Now
the
we
test
get
run.
it, right? You figure out
Yeah.
how it actually all works, and so we can
Now we can
get
actually
back to the
tackle
same.
this, not like idiots.
Exactly. We can get back to the same place pretty quickly. So we'll do that tonight and then make a little bit more progress. And we won't give our quest item gloves away to some
Keep
rando.
those key items tab.
Yeah.
I guess one of the other things I would say is I feel like there should have been another Final Fantasy on our list.
But which one?
Final Fantasy Maximum.
Because what? When did 10 come out? Was that
10
past
was it was 2001, I think, when 10 came out. So it
10
definitely
was the last mainline to make the list or eligible for the list.
Yeah, it's close.
10, 12, well, I wouldn't consider 13 for this list. But
You love 12. Didn't you give 12 a 10?
12 was really good. It could have been on the list.
Is it on anyone else's list? I mean, sorry, I should say any of the lists we've got here. It's on Metacritic.
Yeah.
It's
interesting.
I'd like to. I bought that game and played it, but you know what? The ×3 speed absolutely screwed me. Because it got to the point where I was just abusing that, like the whole. And then I was like, I'm just literally playing this game in like ×3 speed, like everything, because the gambit system would just take care of the enemies for you.
Yeah, it's great.
So ×3 speed, and then I'm like, well, I'm not going to turn it off when I'm just running across this huge area. And I was like, I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm not even enjoying this. But like I was enjoying the characters and stuff, but I don't know. I guess maybe I was just not in a good right frame of mind to play that game. But I would have to be like, I cannot do ×3 speed. I got to play it for real,
I always turn it off for the bosses because you can get into trouble with if you're not switching or like giving them commands during some of the boss fights.
I don't think I would have gotten through Dragon Quest 8 without the speed increase on the 3DS version.
Oh yeah, love
some games it works well, but with that, like I don't know, with the gambit system in 12, I was like, well, it's already automated, like
Right.
for all of the random little encounters. You know what I mean? So it was like, I just felt like I never had to turn it off instead of like, oh, let me just turn it on for this part.
You're playing it like a mobile, like touch kind of game. Like
yeah, it was awful.
Those, like build your own shop kind of game or whatever, where it just everything's automated, right?
I prefer doing,
but like my fault.
doing increased speed versus turning off animations like you do in Pokemon or Fire Emblem. Like I'd rather it just go faster, but I still get to see it because then you can turn it down if you're like, oh, that actually looks really cool.
It is nice when you can tweak what the speed up actually is.
I'm looking at like some new games and like they're showing off the animations to be like, woo, and it's like, wow, I'm gonna get sick of that real quickly.
Well, I'm replaying Final Fantasy VIII right now, and I'm using the 3 times speed when the Guardian Force comes out.
If anyone had played that game, David, they would know what you're talking about.
Don't you have to be careful with old games when you have the speed up, because then you'll have a section where the countdown and it changes the clock on the countdown.
I also had that in Final Fantasy VIII.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's...
yeah, I just had that. There was a... I can't believe you guys haven't played this. There's
my husband likes
one of the early missions. You have 30 minutes to evacuate a city, and while you're trying to get out of the city, you're being chased by a robot spider, and so you keep getting stopped. And so I'm fighting the spider, but then I'm hitting the 3 times speed, and I'm like seeing the countdown go even quicker. But
that's fun.
It's really 10 minutes, baby. Good luck.
Yeah. But now I have to replay that section because there's this awesome cutscene at the end. But I accidentally went into a shop and the spider ran past me and didn't I guess it's like a trick to get out of the spider's path or whatever. And then when I got to the beach, there's supposed to be a cutscene of the spider robot being blown to bits. And I didn't get it because I confused the spider and he just walked away.
Imagine if there was actually like something built into the game to show that the spider just continues to rampage and you're just the first person to escape. Well,
what actually did happen was so there's I I guess 4 squads, I think it is, of fighters in the city, and we're all evacuating. And what ended up happening is I walked into the shop, and the spider started following another squad, and off camera you see they have like a caption of the squad going run. So I guess I accidentally sent the spider after this other squad. So hopefully they made it back to
They
the
had
garden,
it
but
coming, I think.
I'm thinking they didn't make it.
I'm
gonna get the bad ending.
I like how Blood God, they've got 4 Final Fantasies, right? They've got 7.
Yeah.
I guess Tactics would be 5. They've got 4, 6, and they have 14 as well. Surprisingly, no remake though, right? No FF7 remake, which would have been out at that time as well. So, but 5 Final Fantasies, including Tactics, is a lot. And then I also noticed Mass Effect. They've got the Legendary Edition at 5, which I kind of respect. Putting all 3 up.
It's a bit of a cheap. It's a bit of a cheap.
It's a good version though. Like it's the best version of 1 and 3 as well. And then Metacritic, crazy. Mass Effect 2 is number 2 on the Metacritic list, which is still insane to me. That's so high.
People liked it, I guess.
It's not surprising to a certain extent. Like it. And when you think about when it came out, I remember that being huge when it came out.
Yeah, it was really, really big.
Like, I guess it's harder to look at it now because I don't feel like it's had the same legacy as other games.
Doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Like it hasn't. I don't know. I think it's aged. I think it has aged well though. Like, and then you have the Legendary Edition, which just kind of polished it up. But it's just surprising. I would have thought like Elden Ring, Skyrim would have been ahead of that. Even Persona 5 Royal, just in terms of Metacritic scores, that would have been higher.
I think it's because EA hasn't repackaged Mass Effect 2 like 15 times like Skyrim has.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. You can't play Mass Effect 2 in your fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can play Mass Effect 3 on the Wii U.
And you should.
None
I guess.
of the others, so no save carry.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of games I got on the Wii U just because it was very funny that there was a Wii version. Like a Batman one, and it had like, he comes with extra fancy gloves.
The Armored Edition, I think it was called, wasn't it? Yeah.
Something like that. Look, there we go. Metacritic put the Fire Emblem that Jordan wanted.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Awakening. It's the only, is that the only Fire Emblem on any list other than Valentia?
Yes. That's got to be the highest ranked.
It is.
Yeah, it's the only one.
I figured that's probably I feel like that was when it really got like critically, like, everyone was talking about Awakening.
Yeah, I started talking about it with that one.
Well, that's what saved the franchise, as much as people hate some of the stuff that it introduced.
Yeah, it's definitely a turning point for the direction the series went.
That's why Advance Wars is dead, because they can't make the tanks marry each other.
Well, that's because the Ukraine
tried.
War.
I know. There's a lot of reasons why the newer one flopped, but I think it was even funnier that they didn't immediately release in Japan. Like, that's not a good sign.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think we're going to be sent to CRPG boot camp after people listen to this.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because I would have considered pushing for Wasteland 2. But I knew, like, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one here that's played any of the Wastelands, I think.
Hold on. Control F, Wasteland. Yep. 0.
Yeah. Like, the Wasteland games are really good, but they're like, if you want to play a traditional CRPG, that was the
game someone recommended for, like, to play instead of Broken Roads. So.
Oh yeah, like
David would have made that recommendation.
Style, but...
Yeah, that's what I would have said. Like, well, any CRPG, like, obviously, I don't know. It's because like Baldur's Gate 3 and Wasteland 2 are like,
on our list.
It's a lot. Fable sucks.
Fable 2. Look, let me commit bigamy. There's very few games that do that other than the console version of Sims 2. All right.
I am looking forward to the new Fable. I'm definitely going to give that a shot. I have high expectations for it, I guess.
You're only going to play it because you have Game Pass.
That's true. That's the only reason I have an Xbox is because Game Pass exists. I wouldn't have bought an Xbox otherwise.
I think Xbox knows no one would pay money to play Fable unless they've already given it to them.
So I was gonna say, I wish I won one of those million Xbox giveaways so I could have a Game Pass machine, because not everything's PC. And I don't really play on
I'm
PC.
never buying an Xbox game. Well, a physical game, even though it
Yeah.
does have the disc drive. I did
What's the-
buy Infinite Wealth on Xbox actually.
That's why I got rid of my Xbox One. I was like kind of upset because you could get some games for like so cheap because nobody was buying them. So you could get like Valkyria Chronicles 4 and Slay the Spire physically for like $5.
Oh, it's crazy. And they play on your Series S/X console. I was going to say, if you looked at the top 10 of Metacritic, and we told you there's only one Final Fantasy game in the top 10, or there is one, would anyone have guessed the one that is there?
No.
Like, isn't that surprising, right? Like, I know people like it. But that's the one game in the top 10
But
of
you
RPGs?
know, like, think of it, it's following on the heels of 8, which nobody liked. You know, or like, right, like, oh, it's so weird, like, oh, they've moved away from what Final Fantasy is, and then they're like,
It's
all right,
back.
we'll give it
Final
to
Fantasy is back.
Yeah, we'll give you what you want here.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 9 was more of a, like, it was the last, they knew it was going to be the last original PlayStation game, and it was like Sakaguchi's love letter to everything that came before it. So it's...
I just don't think it's that great. I think it's fine. Like, I enjoyed it.
But think of at the time, though, like,
yeah,
right? Like, oh, it's a return to form, you know?
Yeah.
We're going to give you limit breaks, but they're going to be
higher than
stupid.
7, even? Like, regular, original 7? That seems surping.
I think 7's too old.
Yeah, I was saying
For the
Metacritic list, so
Metacritic.
it was like to match our list a bit better. It's always funny just to find out the context of like what the general consensus of games were at the time, because all you had like was forums, and I wasn't on that much as a kid. I remember reading a magazine saying that people didn't like Toon Link, and I was like, what? Had no idea, because I was just a kid, and you get Wind Waker, and you're like, oh, that's cute. Like, I didn't no idea that made people mad. I had no concept. It's also just really funny because old magazine review, like, imagine being a game reviewer back in the day and you only had to write like the tiniest paragraph, and that was your review.
I'll say back in the day, I did not have a strong opinion of it, but when I saw Toon Link, I was like, oh, they went back to Kid Link.
How dare you?
Because when
you were definitely one of them, yeah.
Because when we played Ocarina, so when Ocarina of Time came out, I definitely enjoyed being adult Link way more than Kid Link in Ocarina of Time.
I remember my brother was like one of those like, this stupid cartoon graphics, and then he never played another Zelda again. He's not much. I mean, he plays like Diablo 2 and like football games,
Well, that was because that was GameCube, and that would have been PS2 era, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So like, it's tough because you're what are they going up against? Like Grand Theft Auto. Like that would have been the big game at the time, maybe one of the like 3 or 4.
Multiple Grand Theft Autos on PS2. Yeah,
they had that, and there's plenty of GTA spin-offs too. You had like San Andreas and Liberty, just
Liberty City Stories. Was that PSP?
Liberty City Stories, I think. Yeah,
and then there was a DS and PSP GTA that went old school style.
Chinatown. Yeah.
There's also
I'm surprised I managed to get past the Australian thing, because I'm pretty sure it has like a drug dealing minigame, and anything to do with drugs is like instantly banned in this country in video games.
Is there any Grand Theft Auto game that doesn't have drugs in it? That feels like that's
like they had to edit part of Saints Row 4 because the like a drug was being used as like a power up in the game, and they had to take that out for the Australian version.
They should have just taken out the whole game. Probably wouldn't have lost much.
Had to edit out the amphetamines to boost up your power, and energy.
It's bananas now.
What's that? Actually, isn't that why Disco Elysium was banned for a bit in Australia?
Disco Elysium is nuts. Like, there's so much in that game.
I like, also have like a game almost like a mini sub collection of like I buy this game because it was banned at one point, so I need to have a physical to be like you can't take it away.
Like Manhunt for the Wii.
So originally it was banned because there was drug use, but then they overturned the decision because they said, well, drug use linked to incentives and rewards cannot be accommodated R18 plus. So like if your character in a game takes drugs and that results in like something positive, it's just insta banned because grown-ups can't make their own decisions, I suppose.
No.
This game does provide disincentives related to drug taking behavior to the point where regular drug use leads to negative consequences for the player's progression, which made them change their decision. And it's not explicitly depicted in the game. Yeah, basically with the Australian Review Board, it's like they can't use drugs, or at least not positively and not like explicitly show it, and they can't show can't show sexual assault, and you can't even like reference it without it being R18. So there's an Atelier game that is 18 plus in Australia, because I guess one character talks, I don't know the context of it, but it's like because of that, it's so weird that it's like that's okay if it's in a movie, but if it's in a cutscene in a game, no.
Are we a bit surprised that neither GameSpot or Metacritic has a Dragon Quest game? Like both of them don't have one?
What is Dragon
Quest? Why is Fable 2 and Stardew Valley in that and not Dragon Quest 5, 8, 11? Come on.
I would have thought 11 would have been higher.
Dragon Quest 8 has an 89 Metascore. What's the lowest score on this?
I think 90 is the lowest.
90, yeah.
Oh.
Fire Emblem Undertale must be 90.
All right, I'm gonna go on here and have a look at who gave it the lowest score, and I'm gonna send them an email.
I mean, I guess the Metacritic's tough because those are all 6 really high scores.
Oh, well, I did get some
6?
enjoyment from Dragon Quest 8. Well, I did get some enjoyment from playing it, especially the first 20 hours or so. I'm left craving something more substantial, probably something that involves the words fantasy and final.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Woof.
Thunderbolt. And then the one that had like a score above it was like Final Fantasy. This most definitely is not.
I thought the Final Fantasy versus Dragon Quest, like, what's the like term, like something war, like fan war, for fanboys, fangirls war, something like that. I thought that was done.
Well, these are reviews from the PS2 version. Maybe I should cheat and check what the score for the 3DS version is.
Please don't be the same
critic. I'm trying to find it.
Oh yeah, 92 was the lowest. Awakening was was 92. So
92. Wow.
So yeah. Dragon Quest 11 just missed it because it was 90. It was 91.
91. Yeah. And that's the S version, the upgraded version. Yeah, of course.
Ooh, remember when you played that on the worst graphics?
Yeah, I played the 2D version all the way through.
You dirty dog.
Oh, I
He's an old school
but
man.
I don't. Like, it was still really good. Like, I still had a really fun time. So I think that speaks to how good that game is. Gotta have my top-down RPGs. Come on.
Yeah, the only other game that stands out to me is Vagrant Story. Like, it's a huge blind spot that I wish. Again, I own the disc. I've started that game at least 4 times, and something always like distracts me from it.
Aiden's been talking about it a bunch on Blue Sky, and I'm like, I want to try it again. I want to get into that game. I just find the beginning so frustrating.
Yeah.
And I can't be blamed for the state of our list because we're counting games that came out from when I was 5 years old on. So, I probably missed some. And,
you've been slacking lately then.
You can be blamed a quarter, Paige. We can all be blamed a quarter for the game.
Paige, we're worried on Knights of the Old Republic, by the way. You should have been there to make sure that didn't get left under the rug.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I played a whole 10 minutes of it when I was a kid, so yeah, I should have. Keep forgetting.
Suikoden 2 was I'm pretty sure that was pre-2000, I'm thinking, right?
That's possible. FF7 is 97.
Yeah, 98.
Man, we're close to 30 years. That's wild.
That
would
wild.
be a really good list too. If we did the top,
years.
if we did the top 10 of the 90s, that'd be a pretty wild list. There's
Oh,
some
Then I'll be
really
like,
good
what
we
is
games.
really
that
have to
game?
take
What
the
is
gloves
that
off
game?
for that.
I was also going to say, also some games just don't come out in the PAL region or other way around, like, especially if you go the 90s way, it'll be like, oh, this came out in Japan and Europe, but not America. And then like I'm watching someone's review of a PS2 game and I'm like, what's that? Like, why can't I? And it's like, oh, there's no PAL copy.
What I'm hearing is we do best list of games never released in the PAL region.
Games Australians aren't allowed to play. Such as
Exactly.
Hotline
The
Miami
banned
2.
in Australia list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 90s would be fun. There's, I mean, Super Nintendo, PS1. Oh man, like,
Yeah,
what
it
else?
would
What else
be
could you want?
slugfest.
Yeah,
GBA.
there's no chance of a consensus.
No. That would be brawl for all for sure.
I'm not sure the Excel spreadsheet would be long enough to put all the games on a list to
You'd
begin with.
need to leave like the track the edits of like who's changing every list. Right? Definitely be some shenanigans there, I think.
I guess
recap maybe.
we're,
Do a little recap here.
Yeah, we'll get I'm thinking. I mean, I feel like our list covers enough bases, has enough different flavors to it that I think it would be great for both RPG fans or people getting into the genre. Like, there's games there that are well-known ones that everyone's probably played. So it's if you're starting off new, there's a few things to be there. But I also think like there's a couple there that are a little less known or maybe a little bit older, like closer to the beginning of the 2000s, where again, if you're not in your 30s or 40s, then you probably haven't played these yet. So there there's a good assortment of games here. But yeah, I think it's pretty neat. It's limiting to the last 25 years has been an interesting venture too, because we did do that battle royale back in the day. I'm pretty sure Persona 5 won that one as well. So if we've learned any lesson from this whole thing, is that Persona 5 is a juggernaut that cannot be stopped.
I believe it.
Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. It does make sense. Where's the highest it is on any of the other lists? Where's 6 on the Metacritic? I guess is probably the highest, right?
Which is insane to me. Like,
yeah, it's really high.
Although I think its big issue is that it's like if you were to name like a very Japanese RPG, then that's kind of like top of your list, I would say.
So you're saying we're more biased towards the Japanese RPGs than? I mean, if we, how many Western do we have? We have Diablo, we have Baldur's Gate, we have Witcher. I mean, it's middle of year. Anyway, yeah, not Japanese or Chinese anyway. Mass Effect 2,
Yokai Watch,
Skyrim. Yeah, Yokai Watch is Japanese.
Nah, I know.
I mean, we have enough Western.
I don't know. Wait, Dark Souls is Japanese, and Bloodborne was by PlayStation. Yeah, so where do we go? So Diablo, Baldur's Gate.
Bloodborne's
Witcher,
the
Mass
first From
Effect,
Software, right?
Skyrim, World of Warcraft, and then I guess we can add Disco Elysium. That's like Eastern Europe, but it's not.
I mean, our top
Asian
10 almost half Western, right? Diablo 2,
so
Baldur's Gate 3,
7.
Witcher 3, Mass Effect 2, Skyrim. Of our top 11, was it 4 or 5? It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good mix. I mean, we like our turn-based RPGs. Like, we're not going to...
Yeah, we're
no shame. No shame. I just kind of quickly went through and highlighted the games from our 25 that appeared on any of the other 3 lists. So very quickly. So Persona 5 Royal does appear on another list. Diablo 2. All of our top 5 games do. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Baldur's Gate 3, Persona 4 Golden. Dark Souls and Octopath Traveler 2, which are 6 and 7, do not appear on any of the other 3 lists. Witcher 3 and Mass Effect 2, 8th and 9th place for us, respectively. Those do show up on other lists. Mass Effect 2 as high as number 2 on the Metacritic list. Xenoblade Chronicles doesn't appear on any list, but it's okay because X doesn't either. So everyone's made a mistake there, apparently.
It will this year, don't worry about it.
No doubt about it. Yeah, Metacritic number 3. Skyrim is on a couple of lists, I believe, which isn't surprising. It's number 3 on GameSpot. It's a pretty big one. I think it's at the very bottom, 25 on Blood
Number
Gods
4 on Metacritic.
well. Oh, 4 on Metacritic. Yeah, so kind of a no-brainer there. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Trails in the Sky, Ys 8 do not show up on any of the lists, but Bloodborne, our number 15, does. Dragon Quest 8, Triangle Strategy, SMT 5, Vengeance, Like a Dragon, that's our 16 through 19. Those games do not show up on any of the other lists as well. I don't think there's
SMT does.
Yeah, no SMT.
That's wild.
Yeah, that ain't right, Bobby.
There is a Yakuza game. The Yakuza 0 is on GameSpot's list, so there is a little bit of representation there, but neither of the Like a Dragon games. Pokemon Gold and Silver is number 24 on Blood God's list, 20 for us, so there's some overlap there. Ryza 2, not on any of the other 3 lists, but World of Warcraft is, which is our 22nd game. It's 16th on Metacritic, number 9 for GameSpot. I don't think it's on Blood God's list, no. For 23 for us is Fire Emblem. We mentioned that there's only one other Fire Emblem game. That's 25, Awakening, which I, of course, lobbied hard for if you listen to the last episode. But Echoes is a fine pick, too. It's a really good classic or Fire Emblem game. None of the BS that people don't like from the newer games. So looking for a classic one, there's the way to go. Disco Elysium's on a bunch of lists. It's lower on ours, but there is overlap there at 24. And rounding out our 25 was Yokai Watch 2. There are no yokais to be found on any of the lists, but that's probably they're probably at 26.
I wonder what its Metacritic score is.
Yeah, what's the Metacritic? Because
it's in the 70s. I already looked it up.
And you've got different versions too, so you've got to click, Okay, 72 for Bony Spirit, 70 for Fleshy Souls.
Yeah.
There a third version as well. I think that released in English.
What's the highest rated one?
72, I think.
72 is highest, yeah.
73 for the third version of the game.
I was going to say, at least we got the highest rated one on our list.
Yokai Watch 1 got a higher score. It was 76. What about 3?
Come on.
I forget with Yokai, I've got to put the hyphen between Yo and Kai. So that's the official spelling. Yokai Watch 3 got 80. There we go.
That's pretty good. Have you played the third one, Paige?
I play a little bit. It has a lot of... Especially at the start of the game, it keeps showing you all these optional things, and you can totally get lost in the optional things. It has a lot of more mandatory action segments that I was getting really annoyed at.
Yeah.
Sneaking and anytime I had to deal with the Oni chasing you, because you play too much of the game, whatever, and it's this guy chases you in this area, and in the second one I realized I could just immediately exit by the door that it took me through, so I'm just
I'll get out of here right now. I'm good, thanks.
Bye.
No mandatory chase sequence for me.
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap it up there. We're just over the hour mark, which is what we usually aim for. So hopefully everyone enjoyed hearing us kind of put together this list of 25 games, and then we kind of cumulatively ranked them, and just a little bit of comparison to see where do we align against some other folks' lists. And it sounds like there's some overlap, some comparables, and some games that made our list that maybe didn't show up on the ones that we looked at, but that's okay, because we all like different video games. And we're all having fun playing them, and we like talking about them too.
Truth, and no one can argue anything.
Oh yeah, that's why ours is first. It's on the left side, and it is the definitive list now. As soon as David puts it on the Mage website, there's absolutely no debating it.
If anyone has an issue with it, please send it to complaints@thethirstymage.com, and they will be
email.
They will be promptly thrown in the trash bin.
Yeah, that's right.
No, wait, you got to send it to mailbag@tmp.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Let's have Perry sort them out.
Yeah.
That's what I usually
dump it on
do.
Alex, I think.
Yeah,
just put that at the bottom of the
knuckleheads
post. Put their email at the bottom, and then see if they get sent anything.
A lot of angry Mage listeners in our emails this month, guys.
Why are they all from Canada?
Yeah.
But we had fun doing this, and we'll have to do something like this again soon. Maybe pick a different decade, different slightly. Maybe look at some subgenres of RPGs that maybe didn't get a ton of representation on our list. Definitely won't be CRPGs, though.
What about we can do a worst RPGs list?
I
I don't know if I want to play any Chemco games.
Steam World Quest, baby. Let's
I'm
go.
never playing another Chemco game, that is for sure. Played one for the podcast, and that was too much already. So, yeah, no thanks, Chemco team. But that'll do us for another episode of the Thirsty Mage. We've got some impressions and reviews of games that have either recently released or are coming out soon. We'll definitely share some impressions of Avowed. I'll be playing that on Game Pass. We've got Daybreak 2 episode coming out soon too. Dave and I both played that. But yeah, I think that'll wrap us up. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hope you enjoyed our ranking list episode. And we'll talk to you again soon on the Thirsty Mage. Bye for now.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.